G'day everyone. NotJah Witness here. I am here with a new friend of mine, TornadoPelt, and we're just sort of doing a bit of an impromptu interview for the fucking hell of it. So,
Hey,
Tornado.
everybody!
Yeah, hello. I pretty much know nothing about you. So, tell me who you are, tell me what you believe.
First of all, I'm a science-loving Christian in that I believe Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior and all that. And when I say I'm a science-loving Christian, I'm not talking like Kent Hovind, where I taught science for 15 years. I absolutely love science. No, with me, science is love, science is life. My especially favorite branch of science is in chemistry. Oh, gotta love chemistry. In fact, I hope to be a pyrotechnician, and that job practically revolves around chemistry.
Absolutely. I actually used to want to be a pyrotechnician too, but that was kind of because I used to be just a pyro. I have a bad history when it comes to fire. That was long ago, mind you. For another conversation, I think. I don't think we're going to start this stream by going there. But hey, you know, common grounds. I like that one. Maybe I'm a little, a little safer. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. I'm a little safer now compared to what I was. So, fireworks going off tonight. Actually, here we're doing our as celebration. I suppose you'll put it. I just realised if I actually say what's going on, it might give. Oh no, it's in. Yeah, no. Brisbane is close enough to where I am, and they're doing a thing called River Fire, where I don't know what the actual thing is for. It's just where everyone goes and parties on the river, and the Air Force do a fucking flyby with a fighter jet, you know, go supersonic and stuff, and I'm way out in the burbs, like probably close. I'm actually technically in another city. That's how far out I am, but this motherfucker, I don't know. I was not ready for it. I forgot it was happening. He dropped by, you know, up the engine. He didn't go supersonic. That would have been a whole different thing, but he was so close to giving me the shock of my fucking life. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Riverfire's coming up.
That story gets funnier every time you tell it.
Hey, and you're lucky you were here when it happened. Not many can say that. So
yeah, just the curses you started using.
You obviously don't watch anything of mine, hey, like, or the live stuff anyway. Maybe you've seen just a couple of my videos, then I didn't swear much, but goddamn. You know I'm an Australian, right?
Yeah, you live in a land where everything's trying to kill you, even the postage stamps.
Why do you think we swear so much? You know, like, fucking cut my fucking tongue.
It's a way of dealing with the chaos.
Yeah. God damn, you see that fucking thing?
You've got the box jellyfish, the Sydney funnel web spider. What's that snake they call it?
Taipan?
That you got down in Australia?
Taipan. Or the king brown.
The inland taipan?
Coastal as well.
They're both the coastal, and you have the Sydney funnel web spider, the box jellyfish, the inland and coastal taipans. And if it's not the fauna that's trying to kill you, it's the flora as well. I mean, you've got trees that literally explode.
I know this was a different topic, but I have to say these parts that you're going into, not quite well roast. Because now you're starting to make me look good. That's probably not what you were going for, but like,
no, I'm just saying, the place where you come from, the trees explode during fires.
Yeah, well, yeah, dude. Fucking hell, man. Yeah.
Seriously.
That happens.
The land you live in is so hostile that every single thing is trying to kill you. The geography is trying to kill you. The fauna is trying to kill you. Even the flora is trying to kill you. And if that's not enough, the weather's trying to kill you as well.
And the land itself will do it if you're out there for long enough.
It's like, seriously, what? Did God all of a sudden decide to say, oh, there are created kinds. It's just the created kinds that I have is, oh gee, everything in Australia. That's a whole other created kind.
Okay.
Everything in Australia.
Hang
If I
10.
were to say God created anything, if, in the whole creationist sense, it would be everything in Australia. Because
hang
Australia
10.
is where he
Hang
dumps
10.
his little experiments. It's like, oh, let's see. Let's have this tree produce flammable vapors that explode when they burn.
Well, you know, like you fold paper into a nice confined box or circle, whatever, you know, airtight, and you've got some oxygen inside there. You've got a bomb. What do you expect? I want to say hello to Hans
Really.
and Young Blue. It's good to
Hey,
see
Young
you.
Blue.
Yeah. We didn't really get a clear start on you though, Tornado. What? Give us an idea of what you believe. What is your belief background like? Did you grow up as something, or like doesn't have to be a long thing, just roughly?
I'm basically a Christian in that I believe Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, and He died for my sins and all that.
Okay, but
jazz.
was it? Yeah, but was it something born into, or have you grown to become a Christian, or what? What is there a story there?
I'm not exactly sure, honestly. I'm really just not sure. The beginning part's kind of fuzzy. I'm just not sure. But I definitely know I really started getting into this whole Christian thing hardcore when I was baptized. Definitely when I was baptized. Funnily enough, I was baptized in a Holiday Inn pool.
How did you become baptized? What led you there?
I basically joined the First Baptist Church of Guthrie. How I missed the place and its awesome looking pianos. And basically, I confessed, or I accepted Jesus into my heart, and later I officially did it when I became baptized. There's just a whole lot of stuff in there.
They'll put you through a procedure. Yeah, I mean, as I said, like I've. Do you know much about the Jehovah's Witnesses, or not much?
Can't say I do.
That's okay.
I the level of knowledge I have about the Jehovah's Witnesses could fill a postage stamp.
Fair enough.
All I know is that they exist.
They do, and I was one of them. Pretty hardcore. I was working my way to becoming baptized, and they are really hardcore about it. So the amount of shit you have to, like, I was an unbaptized publisher. We had all these different levels. And as I know you didn't know much about Scientology, I was about to make a correlation there, and I don't think it would have worked, because I know you don't know that much into Scientology yet. But where they will put you through procedures, and you have to go through different levels to work up to becoming baptized. So I do understand that it's sort of like red tape almost that you got to go through to get there.
And me, it was confess that you accept Jesus Christ into your heart, repent for your sins, baptized, done. It was
Jesus,
literally
that's a walk in the park, mate.
Simple.
Yeah. So, okay, what did you had to have had conviction by that point, though, obviously. So,
yeah,
and what you would probably refer to as being Christian from birth is what you would think of as before you remember, and or the earliest you remember, you sort of was already a Christian, or your family was, and you were going, and you know,
thereabouts.
Yeah. So that's where you'd always had that in your heart. You always had a connection to God. And so was this church, because I did miss the particular church. It wasn't one I was familiar with. Was it the one that you
First
were...
Baptist Church of Guthrie.
Oh, so Baptists.
It was,
okay.
Yeah, First Baptist Church of Guthrie. And that's literally what it was called. It's just that. And the thing I especially loved about it is it had awesome pianos.
Yeah, and I will get to that actually too. The the question I had though, was it something that was that the one that your parents or that you remember being at earlier and you went back to it, or is this a new one that or like a new denomination of do you know what I'm asking?
I'd previously been in one church. I know that much. I'd been in one church. I don't know the name of it. I don't know anything about it. All I know is it was a church. I had apparently attended a wedding there, and I found it so boring.
Okay,
because I was a really little kid back then, and I had no idea what was going on. And it was like, so boring.
Absolutely. That wasn't so you weren't necessarily brought up in a strict religious household that went to church every week.
Well, we did eventually start going to church every week, but it was mostly just because it was there, I guess you could say. It was a church, and I liked it especially because of the piano.
And so was that is the same church then that you're now that you went got baptized in? That one with the piano?
Well, I didn't exactly get baptized in. I didn't exactly get baptized in the church. I got baptized by group members. I got baptized with group members.
But you were with that
church.
group. You were with that group, that congregation.
With that group, as I was baptized in the Holiday Inn pool.
Because all I'm getting at is that like, because I wasn't sure if you were sort of brought up in one denomination, and then now that you are grown up a little, you've gone to a different one, or if you're still within that same group. That's what I was trying to go for.
Yeah, I guess I can kind of see where you're going with that. But here's the thing. I'm no longer in Missouri. I was in Missouri, but then I moved to Florida.
That's all right.
And things in Florida are a lot more hectic.
But would this be the same or similar to me saying I was a Jehovah's Witness out in the outback? Now I've moved, I'm in a different congregation, but I'm still going to a Jehovah's Witness congregation. Would that be a similarity? Like, is that kind of what
Sorta, yeah, I guess.
Okay. You're more than welcome to clarify, because I definitely prefer knowing, in more detail. More detail is always better, so you're more than welcome to clarify it.
Basically, I used to go to the First Baptist Church of Guthrie, then Mom started having car troubles, then we moved, and we were dealing with all sorts of crap. We were still going to the First Baptist Church at that point, occasionally, but when we moved, it was a lot less often because sometimes the car had trouble. And then Christine, one of my friends' moms, or the mom of one of my friends, drove my mother's car into the ground. Then Mom had to get a new car. And then we moved from Tuck's Place to Holt Summit. And then we moved from Holt Summit all the way down here to Crystal River.
So you've done a lot of traveling. But, again, still within that same church group sort of thing.
I guess. I mean, I probably haven't gone to church as much as I'd like, but...
Okay.
Yeah.
I gather then it's not a very strict church, or is it just one of those things that's your liberty that you're taking?
I guess you could kind of say it was a liberty. My grandma did kind of want me to go to church more often, but during the sermons, there were times where I literally fell asleep.
Oh, I know that, mate. I know that feeling.
It's like, you're talking, and then all of a sudden, oh, hey, it's time to go, because I'm dead on my feet.
And I'm recalling my time as well, even when you're genuinely interested. Like, I've been sitting there and I've been wanting to listen to this, and I've wanted to learn this, and it was a fascinating subject, but there has to be something in my mind about the hall presence all churches have, and halls, just general halls, that when you've got that speaker talking in that voice, whether it's that uppity, those really energetic preacher, or if it's the monotone, boring preacher, you know, the one that just blah blah blah, you know. Either way you go, they can just put you to sleep or put you off. And like, even when like I've had those, like, I wanted, like, it was I can't fucking remember what talk it was now, but it was like I was trying to take notes, and I just remember waking up at the end in my notebook, like, just halfway through, not even that, you know. And so
It's like,
yeah.
how did I fall asleep? Yeah. Then again, it
happened.
didn't help that I was taking medicine that helped me calm down, and when I say that, I mean it was actually a prescription medicine called Strattera. I would take a pill just to make sure I could get through the day all right, and I had to take that every morning I went to church. And by the time it started fully kicking in, yeah,
Yeah,
that had its
yeah, that makes
problems.
sense. That does make sense. At least you were getting medicated. There wasn't much they could do for me.
Yeah, because back then I was a rowdy little tyke. But yeah. And I heard at one point you were actually getting ready to talk about the pianos.
I've definitely still got that in mind. I'm sorry, I didn't realize I thought you were about to go into something else. That's all. But yeah, actually, I'm quite close to jumping into that because I'm curious to know what about the pianos leads you to them. Is it simply a beauty factor, or is it the music?
It's the music, definitely the music, especially the ones that can make multiple noises at once.
Do you mean like the what are they called? Like not? I'm thinking the old school one, the organs. You know, those ones with different layered things. You got all the buttons and switches and shit. They are very common.
Well, no, this
in
was an
churches.
electronic piano with only 10 instruments. I mean, yeah, it only had 10
Oh
instruments,
no!
but I could do so much with those.
Yes.
I
Absolutely.
could do so much with those 10 instruments. There were actually times where I played the theme to Armageddon.
That would be pretty cool.
And
don't
then
wanna,
I also
don't wanna miss a
played
thing,
sometimes
Aerosmith.
Jurassic Park. And then there
Can't
was
remember who
one
did
time
that
where I
one.
actually played the Star Spangled Banner on Veterans Day.
Fair enough. I won't look. Don't take this as an offence. I don't like our national anthem. So honestly, don't take it offence. I don't like your national anthem. God, it's so boring. Ours sucks too. So don't get me wrong. They're on equal part being shithouse, but they are just so boring. Why can't national anthems be exciting? Like, I want our national anthem to be like AC/DC or something. You know, something you can bang your head to, or just at least get into where everyone gives a roar and gets energized. National anthems put you to sleep. They do. I'm sorry. You know, like, all the respect in the world, but god damn, we suck at, as an entire humanity at doing national anthems.
Well, if I had to choose an actual national anthem that would match your criteria, it would have to be the song from Team America World Police.
Fuck yes, actually, that would be, and I think that would work too, because even as far as I know, most Americans love that shit. Like, that's hilarious and awesome all in one. You know, like, and it gets you,
Except
gets
just
you
without
going.
the sort of other lyrics that it has.
Yeah, but nobody, you're doing chants. You're not going into full lyrics and full verses. You're just doing the chants. You know, that's all that matters. America, fuck yeah, coming again to save the motherfucking day, yeah. Oh shit, I gotta go get a beer. Say hello to the people in chat. G'day, Red. I did see you there, mate.
Hey, everybody in the chat. Hey, Young Blue Skeptic. Hey, Hans P.S. Hansen. Hey, Red Venture. Hey, yo. So, what all is you all doing?
Well, they're watching us, aren't they?
Well, there's that.
Oh,
There's that.
Yeah, I suppose he's got a point, doesn't he? I suppose you should probably disappear those messages. I bet that'll shine. Anyway. Oh, I haven't got it quite
Yeah, I'm
sized.
gonna hit the live
correctly.
chat, see what it's saying. Now they're basically the same. Huh.
Yeah, there's only a couple of us here at the moment. But I appreciate each one of you. My regulars too. I was gonna say who doesn't have a wrench, and it's you. It's because, well, obviously I don't think I've seen you much here. But I'll give you a wrench. There we go. Now everybody has a wrench. See, I'm Oprah. The white Oprah. So
Oh yeah, you get a wrench. You get a wrench.
you get
Everybody
a wrench.
gets a
Everybody
wrench.
gets wrenches. Yeah, exactly. The piano, the music. I'm still kind of curious to know more about that. Were you only into playing instruments, or did you get into the singing, and what sort of, you know?
I mostly got into the instruments.
Okay.
I really didn't do much of the singing, but you could just sit me down in front of a piano and I would just sit there and play various songs, like, again, Armageddon, Jurassic Park, something from Independence Day.
Very cool. Wasn't so not even churchy song. Like, do you know you never got into what are they called? It's not gospel music. What is it? Yeah, no, it is gospel
Yeah,
music. That's what they call it.
I never really played any of the churchy stuff. It's just in my mind, it's piano. Here, play some of your favorite songs.
Yeah, you just see the piano and you go and, hey, I'm gonna do this song because it's here. I like that actually. But well then,
And it's not just pianos that I seem to have a strange touch for. There are actually occasional music. There are music programs that I find like Anvil Studio and Muse Score 2, where I just sit down, hear a song, and it's like, here we go. I can pick out this line, this staff, do, and then boom, recreate it after having only listened to it, not even needing sheet music.
that's pretty fucking impressive, man.
I actually put together an arrangement of Bon Jovi's "Livin' on a Prayer" without sheet music, mind you, just by listening to the instruments and trying to focus on one particular instrument at a time.
And did you go through and check its accuracy, like buy sheet music? Like make.
No, I
sing.
just listened to the song itself.
No. What
like,
what I'm saying is after the fact, after you did that, did you go back, get the actual sheet music, and double check yourself to see how close you were? Because that's what would be interesting. That'd be fascinating. Because then
No,
even
I haven't
yourself,
done that yet.
you'd be able to pick up where did I go wrong, what did I hear wrong, and then you could start learning how to adjust those points to get every note dead on. Because if you've already got a natural sort of knack for it, you may as well perfect it. No, it's music, man. If I could do that, I would have been doing nothing else. You know, like.
And also, it's not just music that I seem to have a strange talent for. It's also weather as well. Back in Missouri, I actually had a friend who nicknamed me Thor. Because
Why
I could
so?
just seem to read the weather. And my friend basically told me if it was possible, I could probably predict where lightning was going to strike.
Oh, true. Fair cool.
Because my
that
just locked into the weather. I could point out, hey, this storm is probably going to rain pretty soon.
Is this?
There have actually been times where I had actually gotten pretty close to the exact estimates. Like, hey, by the way, it's probably going to rain in 30 to 40 minutes. And when one of the teachers was about to call my bluff, it's like, hey, is that rain I'm hearing?
Yeah.
The teacher nodded. It's like, yeah, that's rain. Holy crap, he was dead on the money. Mind you, this was without really looking at a radar. This was just looking at the way the clouds were moving based on the outside.
I was going to say that is really common thing to do here in Queensland because as with the storm and stuff that we were talking about, the shit literally changes here. 5 to 10 minutes, it's completely different weather. So you get a knack for that very quickly. But does this correlate with your name, TornadoPelt?
The name TornadoPelt actually is a really different story. I was actually prowling along. The whole TornadoPelt naming scheme came from this book series called Warrior Cats, actually.
That is definitely random. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, in the Warrior Cats series made by Aaron Hunter, you have various cats who have different names. You have Fire. I'm not sure what his other name was. Firestorm, I think it was. I think that's what it was called. I'm not sure. It could be Firepelt. Yeah,
But I
I'm not
get you.
sure. Either
Yeah,
way.
and you've taken that sort of inspiration of the
Yeah,
name,
like
the
you have
type of
White
naming.
Storm,
Yeah,
Fire Star, Blue Star, basically some name followed by prefix, some name followed by common suffix. Like
yeah,
common suffixes you could see would be for apprentice kits, you would see paw, or for apprentices, the young cats who are just between kit and actual full-fledged warrior, that would be named paw. The kittens would be named something kit, and for the actual warriors, you would see pelt, stripe, claw, storm, things of that nature. And then for the leader cats, like the leaders of the entire clans, there were 4 clans, or rather 5 clans, but the 4 main ones were Thunder Clan, River Clan, Shadow Clan, and Wind Clan, each correlating to different areas. The leaders of those clans would be named something Star. So when Blue Star was the leader, her name was actually Blue Star, but I forget what her name was before then. But when Fire something or other, I'm not sure what his name was, took the thing and got his 9 lives, he became Fire Star. That's the whole naming scheme.
fair enough. Wow, whole lot of things that I have no idea about. So, but I definitely get where the name at least comes from, which is good.
Yeah. And the thing is, I had come from this thing where it's like, what would be a really awesome cat name? With me, it was, okay, so I can't have this. This one seems kind of weird. But, ooh, TornadoPelt. That actually sounds really awesome.
Yeah,
And that's the name I adopted because the whole thing about my character was it started out as a super powered cat that had strength, speed, and interestingly enough, flight. Don't know how the heck that works, and super senses. But
oh well,
that's
cats are.
basically where I got the name TornadoPelt because he would run as fast as an F5, lightning blazes in his eyes. He has all the devastate. He's got real amazing strength and all that, and the whole I am TornadoPelt, and basically that's how the whole TornadoPelt naming
Yep,
scheme started.
they're cool. I like how much went into it though. You know, like, because it could have just as well have been as random as, oh yeah, I like tornadoes or something, which is literally kind of what I'd expected. So the fact that
Interestingly, that's you're actually kind of right there because I'm a I'm a real liker
good,
of
nothing wrong
severe
with it,
weather,
man. I fucking do.
just as long
Again,
as it
goes back
doesn't
to,
start severely affecting me.
well, for me,
My dream was always
it's not good when it hurts anybody, really. Well, you know,
my dream was always to see a real life tornado just spinning along, not doing any damage, just being able to see an actual tornado. That's still, interestingly enough, on my bucket list. Be it water spout, dust devil, doesn't matter. If I can see a tornado-like system, I'm happy.
they call here, not everybody, but here a lot of people call dust devils willy willies, and I've seen a buttload of them. I've seen one that was what you would probably consider a small size tornado. It wouldn't be on the F scale because it didn't actually do any damage. We get very, like, literally a couple seconds of them. You know, they don't get nearly as powerful as what you would get in the States, obviously. And that's why generally we never refer to things as being a tornado here because they're not normally big enough. But there was this one that I recall. I don't know. It was what would probably be 8-lane highway kind of width of just the swirling of dust. So really, the thing in the middle would have been teeny, but that was the amount of dust it picked up. You know, just looked amazing because I'd literally just ridden right near where it picked up a second or two later, and fucking what a feeling. Pity there wasn't smartphones back then. I swear to God. Here's a question. Actually, I probably should have asked a while ago. If you're now we're obviously live, so if you're okay with sharing it live, how old are you? Even if you want to go roughly.
Early 20s.
Oh, fair call. I really had no idea, to be honest. like
Yeah,
in any
how old
range.
do I sound actually?
Probably about that, but you could be, anywhere in your late teens up until, late 30s. Because I mean,
My voice sounds that naturally high.
no, it's not that it's high. I think there's an energy to your voice that you could pull off a younger voice. But that's why I said late teens, because any earlier, and no, you're not that high. You're not high enough for that,
Ah, some of my friends actually said that or rather, one of my other friends, an online friend, said that I sound a lot like Deadpool in the death battle thing, and I can kind of see it.
In the death battle thing. What do you mean there?
Yeah, there was basically this series of videos doing
Oh, okay.
Deadpool versus various. The death battle is sort of this internet thing where it pits two characters who are similarly matched, or at least mostly similarly matched, against each other in a fight to the death using their weapons, armor, and skills. Everything that they have. Two of those fights involved Deadpool. One involving Deadpool versus Deathstroke. Deadpool was the clear winner. And one involving Deadpool and Pinkie Pie from the My Little Pony series. And you can probably guess where that's going. Deadpool is a fourth wall breaking maniac, and Pinkie Pie is a fourth wall breaking maniac.
Oh, well. See, I don't know shit about My Little Pony. So, I knew that about Deadpool. Didn't know that about the other one.
Yeah, I can kind of see why you say that.
I just shit I do and don't know, What are you going to do? G'day, Brant. How you doing? Brant or Brant?
Hello.
I always think Brant. Brant works. Is that a fucking badger I see? I can see a bad T. It is a badger.
Yeah,
hey,
bad-tempered badger.
Doing? Yeah, I know. I was looking at my the live feed chat, and so I'd only seen the bad T ... So no one else is gonna be that.
Brant,
so.
I'm sorry that I reminded you about Bill Paxton.
Oh, yeah, he's a good point.
The guy
I know
from
that
Twister.
movie gets. I know. I was just about to say. I know that movie gets a lot of hate, but I still love that movie, Twister. Don't care what anyone says.
Yeah, the thing is, I love that movie too. Interestingly, it's the very movie that got me really, really, really interested in weather in the first place.
Yeah,
because I had actually seen it. I'd actually seen it during a summer school thing, doing weather and all that sort of fun stuff. Yes, I was actually doing a summer school class on weather, and our job as part of the summer school thing was to actually rate the tornadoes. And I was zeroing in, basing my ratings off of size, damage potential, things of that nature.
God, I wish I could do that. Because, we don't get, as I said, we don't really get them here, so we don't have that here. We get wet, one of the more common
you get willy willies. You get the tiny stuff.
Yeah,
back in Tornado Alley, where I used to live, every March through June, it was like, okay, senses on alert. It could come any time now. Oh, hey, what's that storm doing? Where's it going? What's it doing?
That's the only thing, though, that America has over us when it comes to weather. And, yeah, that shit's pretty hardcore. There's no denying that.
Yeah, basically.
Although your fucking, what are they called? Fucking hurricanes. Your hurricanes have really been vicious lately. Dude.
Yeah.
They've been pretty gnarly.
Irma, Harvey, Florence.
You guys are getting slaughtered with them.
Yeah. And now, again, there's the issue. I'm now living in Crystal River.
Oh, mate, where's that? I don't know. I'm in fucking Australia.
It's basically on the other notch of Florida. Not the one by Miami, but the one closer to the little trigger guard of Florida, if you will.
Yeah, on the inside part of it, or still the outside part of it. You know how you got the code.
Thank you, Brant. Yes, Brant. It really sucked me into meteorology. Actually, I've been that way since I was a little kid. I've actually been into meteorology since I was a little kid, really.
I wouldn't say that about myself simply because I wouldn't have known that is what it was, but I've always liked looking up at the weather, and I've always enjoyed storms. Back in the country, like it's like Tornado Alley out there where big flat spaces and all the winds combine from different directions, and that's why you get similar weather conditions. But ours
warm,
just
moist air
formulate.
from the Gulf of Mexico, hot, dry air from the Mojave and Arizona desert, and cold, dry air coming in from Canada and the Rockies.
Yeah.
We call the place Tornado Alley for a reason. Everything east of the Rockies and west of the Mississippi, everything north of the Rio Grande, and south of Mount Rushmore.
You know, I mean, we're live, so you're gonna stutter. I stutter. That's what happens just while we think and talk. But you presented that well enough that with a good, clean recording, you could actually put that on a film, or an ad. You presented that really well. Yeah,
Thank you.
What do you call it? As if it's pretty much the best I could call it, as if you were doing an advertisement for the show, like you're watching a TV ad, and it's that guy going, this is why they call it Tornado Alley, but you had that info down packed really well. I like that.
I lived in Tornado Alley. It's something I had to learn.
That's like the sort of shit when you give me about fucking Steve-O and I'll bite your face off. It wasn't you, it was Peter, I know. It was okay. And nobody else is going to have a clue because that was before we went live. Peter will know if he comes back to watch. But anyway, we've gone on a bit of a tangent and I want to come back. Okay? Well, it's sort of not that much of a tangent because it's TornadoPelt, your name and all that, but still.
Not really a tangent.
No. We went on for a while, and I think we could probably go on for longer because it's one of those topics that I enjoy. But I want to know something else. I don't know yet what I want to know. So let's go into what else makes you, or what defines you as a science-loving Christian. I know what part now defines you as the Christian, because we've gone into that. But what makes you the science-loving Christian? What
Science is so much fun!
Okay. But what do you...
there's so many things you can do.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
could go on for hours. I know bugger all about computer science. As far as I know, it's a computer. It works. That's all I need to know. But when it comes to chemistry, meteorology, space, things of that nature, you could get me talking for hours. And I would just talk your ear off. And basically, this interview would go from being a 1-hour interview to a 6-hour interview to a 24-hour interview to a 1-week interview constantly.
We'll have to make it maybe a series. But I would like to know what point... Because, I don't even really know how to ask the question because I'm grappling with a lot of these things still myself, just to be frank with you. Where do you lie when it comes to the typical controversies surrounding science and religion, knowing that you obviously don't agree with the young Earth creationist position, and that's something that you're obviously I don't know. Actually, we didn't talk about that yet on the live stream. So
it's doesn't make any freaking sense. It just doesn't make any freaking sense from a mathematical standpoint. We have cave drawings going back to before the supposed date range that the young Earth creationists proposed. We have cave drawings from before 6,000 years ago.
Okay, I got you. Yes.
That alone.
That we know. Now everybody in the chat will know too, because obviously that I think was before we went live that we did that. So I'm glad you clarified that. I didn't mean to jump that in there without. I forgot that we hadn't already talked about it live, so I was like, shit, But yes,
it's okay.
I wanna know though. So where does it where does it differ? Like, what things that are scientific would you disagree with, and not necessarily why, because I don't, that implies things, and I don't really want to do that. I'm more curious to just know the justification.
As far as me, it's like, we don't know how the Big Bang started. Arguing from anything before the Big Bang is, as Red would put it, an automatic argument from ignorance, because we don't know jack shit about what happened. With me, it's like, okay, God lays out the laws of the universe. Here you go. Now you're working according to this. You're working according to that. The laws are all in place. Have fun.
Gotcha.
It's like procedural generation in a way. You know what procedural generation is, right?
Yes, I do. And I also, that's a good, not quite the perfect way I would have put my beliefs, but I definitely can see what you're like, where you're going with it.
Like,
it's very
God
close
sets the
to what
spark
I would.
and
Yes, exactly. He sets it
God
rolling.
sets the Big Bang in motion, and then clickety, clickety, click. Okay,
here's
the laws of the universe is going to run by.
He has no current control over this present system. Like, he's clicked it, he's let it go, it's off and rolling. He's not there making everything happen as it goes.
But he does intervene from time to time.
Is that still currently, or is that of biblical times?
Well, what I'm saying, I don't know how to phrase it.
No, it's all right,
it's
dude.
kind of weird. Okay. Like, he'll intervene in times of importance. Sometimes, occasionally, like, you know how sometimes people will say, "Oh, thank God I missed that." Well, yeah. Thank God that didn't do more damage. Yeah. Like the Doctor from Doctor Who. You know how the Doctor from Doctor Who has become especially attached with the human race, right?
Don't hate me. I really am not that into Doctor Who. I wouldn't have a clue.
Wow. And right there, my entire analogy just goes...
I know, and I felt that's why I know that it had nothing actually to do with necessarily Doctor Who, but I know that if I don't know whatever it is about Doctor Who, and I don't know shit about Doctor Who, so... can you equate it with... Yeah?
The Doctor Who thing is basically... The Doctor seeks to protect the human race from various threats. He also tries to do various things to make sure the timeline goes straight. But he's really become attached with the human race, much like how I think God is with
so it's
the
like
humans
his little
here.
crutch, yeah. Or like, it's almost like a vice if you'll will it for a god. Because obviously they're not going to, smoke cigarettes or whatever, so... Fair cool. So,
by the way, you might want to look at Brant's pun.
Where is he? Brant.
Caves are a conspiracy, a real rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah. That's actually not too bad, Brant. Because, I can't, yeah. Goddamn. Y'all, by the way, shameless plug, make sure on the 6th, on Saturday the 6th, in the morning sometime, get up and come and watch the comedy roast. I don't even know what channel it's actually on, but watch it because it's gonna be awesome. Fun. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, by the way, hi, Unholy Mole.
Oh, Molly.
Nice to see you here for
Good
a movie
to
night.
see you, buddy. And Clade and loving it. Loads of cool people.
Yeah, I've had a few particular dealings with Unholy Mole.
Molly's awesome.
And when I say that, I mean movie nights.
Yeah.
Which you've actually attended occasionally.
Yeah, I've been on movie night a couple times. It's good fun. So's awesome. Like that whole thing is a lot of fun. It goes for a long time, and I find that if I'm just watching it, I cannot stay. Like I just can't. I just die before the end. So I'm like, if you don't let me in, that's game over. I'll be here for half an hour and gone. I'll be watching something else. So. When they let me in, I'm there.
The people on movie night are so... The people that are featured on movie night are just so freaking stupid!
Featured. Oh god, I had the whole different thing in my mind. I'm like, wait, what? No, but yes, I know, right? But that's the point. That's
I'm
great. It's
talking with
fantastic.
the Flat Earther CC
Oh, don't
or
give. I'm not too good with
Jeranism.
everybody.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
Jeranism. I
hate
know.
Jeranism.
He's like I find him to be one of my favorites to watch those takedowns of, because people get so animated, you know, like, and it is that frustration coming out. It's bloody awesome to watch.
Yeah, back in the early days of movie night, I had this fun little habit of I had this fun little comment that I had made about how Jeranism was regarding everything as a hoax, and I had gotten especially animated, and it started the whole trend of spacing people that Strike likes to call it. Basically, RJ had asked me a question where, would you like to show Mr. Jeranism the door of the International Space Station? And I had said, and I quote, "Oh, I wouldn't just show him the door. I would have it be a very intimate meeting by smashing his face into the door repeatedly before shoving him out the freaking airlock."
Yeah. You could see that one coming a mile away. Jism.
Yeah.
You could also see that coming a mile away. We actually had a great discussion about Jism earlier today.
But that was one of my earlier movie nights before I learned the meaning of calm. Oh, and
yeah.
Clade Starfish, I know what that reason is. He's just so freaking smug. He's just so smug in his delusions.
That will do it.
He's
That's a good
so
point.
smug when he claims that NASA's a bunch of murderers, thieves,
and it's the combination of being smug and not wanting to.
It's the combination of willful ignorance and smugness.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I was having a bit of a brain fart, so.
It's arrogance, willful ignorance, and smugness.
To be honest,
like that level of just.
Last thing I want to do is start talking about that dickhead. We're here to talk a bit more about you.
Someone who actually knows what they're talking about. And
I'm
not afraid to admit that I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to such things like computer science.
Because I'd asked a question, but now I've forgotten what that question was, and I was planning on going into something with it, and I've forgotten what it was. So what were we discussing just before? Before the fucking Jeranism. NotJah Witness hates
I'm actually not sure.
Just Lloyd. Oh, fuck. Just Lloyd, Brant. But that's okay. We'll figure something else out instead. Okay, but we were roughly talking about your science-loving part of your being a science-loving Christian. Because that's something that, to be honest, that is something I connect with very strongly. A lot of...
Yeah, like I said, science is fun! Yeah, again, there's so many things I could do with it. I can use it to power my computer. I can use it to drink a nice, sweet-tasting cherry cola. I can use it to eat Pringles. I can use it to sleep. I can use it to blow beep up for fun and profit. If I become a pyrotechnician. And by that, I mean a properly certified one. I'm going through FPAG, the Florida Pyrotechnic Arts Guild.
Don't
at least I'm trying to
accept people. Okay.
The thing is, normally I exude confidence when it comes to science. When we're just talking about it, I'm all smiles. But get me onto the field where I'm actually mixing the chemicals, and I'm not all smiles. I'm actually all serious. It's all business. One of my first experiences dealing with actual serious chemicals was during a thing where I was dealing with making silver-plated ornaments for my mother for Christmas.
Actually,
and the thing was...
Sorry, I was just going to say quickly, hey Maze, and if Neil pops into the chat, guys, can you yell at me or tell him to yell at me? Because I'd love to have him pop in and we could have a chemistry discussion if he's around. I don't know when he gets up though, so, and if he'll even be free. He should be free. It'll be Saturday, isn't it? So yeah, should be.
Yeah, Brant says fire is fun.
Hey,
here's the thing: fire is fun if you respect it. If you don't respect it, fire becomes very unfun, and then it becomes very painful, and then it becomes very deadly. respect fire.
So, what I would like to talk to you about more is, like, obviously I'd like to try and keep this within the theme. Like, I don't want to jump too much around other topics that haven't some relation. So,
Yeah, back to the whole science-loving Christian bit, the
yeah,
science-loving part of it.
I'd still like to keep, but don't, you don't have to keep doing that line. That kind of is going to get old kind of quick. You know, once a stream is good.
Okay, sorry, I was just...
I know,
Yeah,
I
we should
get
probably
it.
get back to that.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah, back to the
I'm only here
silver-plated
for so
ornaments
long.
thing. Yeah, like I said, back to the silver-plated ornaments thing. The thing is, my teacher was getting me into this chemistry biz because we were actually doing a physical science thing, and it was my first introduction to real lab work. And my teacher had very strictly told us, keep mixing this stuff. If you let it sit for too long without stirring it, it will explode, or it will
Hang on.
form an explosive.
Love
It's like,
you, dude, but just
okay,
hold the
keep mixing
phone
it.
for a second. What? This is really kind of random.
I know. This was basically getting into the whole fun things about chemistry.
Yeah,
And
that's not quite though what we were. You know, I know you're very proactive into it, and you're jumping in there, but that wasn't
yeah,
kind of not on
sorry.
topic at all. And
Yeah.
as I said,
I told you I
am
could
only.
probably talk your ears off for hours about this.
I know, man. I want you to talk my ears off, but I want you to do it on topic, because
Okay.
we can get into the fun of chemistry when we have Neil, because I know he'll be at least able to double back with you, and you know, that will be good
When's
fun.
he getting on?
I have no fucking idea. I just thought about it because I'm like, oh, he'll probably get up at some point, you know, like whenever he wakes up, and if he comes and finds the stream, jumps into chat, people should yell at me because I'll invite him in. And we can have, you know, you'll be able to have a bit of a discussion with him. Because I can basically bugger off whenever I want. You guys can take this elsewhere, and he can take you live, and, you know, you can have a chemistry discussion. But that, again, that's not what I'm here to talk to you about today, that's all. As much as it would be good fun, I just don't know shit about it. I wouldn't be able to have that with you, that's all. I'd just have to sit there and listen. And for that, I'd rather somebody like Neil to have that talk, because he can at least bounce back and be into it with you. I'm definitely more interested specifically on what scientific knowledge that you have where you go, this is what is taught, but not what I believe. Because I'm still... I'm just in that curious stage where I really want to learn more about other perspectives outside of my own
Grumpy
religious...
Grumpy Dave actually puts it best. Do you find any conflicts between science and Christianity in particular, as opposed to just believing in a deity? Well, the only real issue I would have is the whole way they word the 6 days thing in Genesis.
Yeah,
because the whole deal with the 6 days things, the 6 literal days issue, and that whole issue, that's where I think the Kent Hovind dealio really gets into some serious issues. It's like they say that the Earth is only 6,000 years old, but if you think about it from a time standpoint, one, back when the Hebrews were around, which was when the Old Testament and Genesis in itself was written, they only had the word like maybe 1,000. They didn't have words for million or billion or even trillion, because those sorts of scales just weren't really there yet. They didn't even know that even millions of things could exist.
Wouldn't necessarily go that far, but what I could assume, not having directly researched myself, unfortunately, but I could assume that lack of words would be correct, or at least a lack of a specific word. And so what would have been used in its place is of thousands, or thousands of kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it's not 1,000, but of thousands. Like in many numeral thousands. And that's something that the witnesses, whether they used to always be this way, wouldn't have a clue. But at least as I was growing up, that was their belief, or what I was taught. Fuck. But I've heard so many conflicting things since that it's not even funny. Just within the people coming out of the Jehovah's Witnesses and what they were taught personally, not even by literature. And then you go to literature, and even that's different. It's fucking confusing.
Yeah, and then Grumpy Old Dave actually asks a quite really good question. How do you then Jesus without the original sin of the Garden of Eden? I still think that original sin happened, just not in the time and place where the not the young Earth creationists themselves put it.
But that it was
and
what you'd now be dealing with, though, is the time frame postulated of the generations between Jesus and Adam. And because that's the other time frame, it's not just all the days at the start. Once you get into that, you're working with that time frame. So what would you do there?
Yeah.
Because that sets it at a specific date that's possible within 1,000 or so years.
If you use the time date thing, like the before Christ and Anno Domini thing, like Christ was born in the 0 area, and I think we have a general pinning down of when the Tigris and when the cradle of civilization really started doing it in things. Like when you have Jesus is born and that sort of thing, that's the 0 day thing.
Roughly. That's the idea.
Yeah.
Because there
and then after Christ's birth is Anno Domini and that sort of thing. And then everything before that, I guess you could say those sorts of timelines actually ended up happening. Oh, those sort of events happened along with it. But the flood issue, yeah, that's just a whole other kettle of fish.
Don't buy the flood?
I mean, I guess for them, the flood would be local. It would be a severe flood for them, but probably not for because back in the cradle of civilization days when the flood might have happened, it would just be in that local area. That's what, for them, the whole world was at that point.
I definitely get you, because, again, it's almost word for word for what I believed. Like, and I'm definitely not here to change your mind, because I'm not even in the position to be able to do that. I'm just kind of amazed that you're almost literally saying the exact same thing to me, word for word, as to what I would have said. Like, if you'd met me this time last year, we would almost be able to speak verbatim.
Mind you, this is just things I'm coming up with off the cuff.
I know. These are just the concepts, though. I get it.
Yeah. I know.
And it's tough, because the thing I see a lot, and I can't remember again if this was live or not. I think this was while we were not live, but you mentioned at some point that you were surprised we were getting along. I think it wasn't live yet. And I'd mentioned that normally people on your side don't give really me a chance. Like, once they click on to either my name, or if I'm just asking them questions and they assume things, I'm just a dirty atheist for this, that, and the other reason. I'm like, well, I'm kind of not. Like, yeah, I am, but I'm not actually in it for anything like that. I'm more just learning about other people's perspective that I grew up in one religion. I learnt about other religions, but I didn't learn about other people's experiences within their religions without my pre-religious perspective. And so I'm sort of going to relearn all that. And it's really difficult because you do question people. The only person, aside now you, who has given me the time of day to not even just outright block me, would be that SJ chick that everyone, talks about. And I gotta admit, she talks some shit, but she's got the balls to front up and give you her opinion, or what she believes, I respect that. There's no way to not respect that, It's just frustrating, because too often people think you're the enemy. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you would get that from our side here and there too. There's no doubt whatsoever. And fuck, that's a problem. It shouldn't be like that at all. It's just ideas, it really is just what we decide to think. Yet ultimately we're not making wars over it, so it's not all that bad, but we still get all up in each other's faces. So it is fantastic that there are, just to know that there are still people like that. And I've been doing this now for, 7 months, and I have not met somebody that's been able to give me the same dialogue that I would have given, and at the same time be perfectly respectful, Excuse me, fucking hell. Frog in my throat. It's good. It's good. So what do we got?
Yeah, this is one of those weird things. It's like, huh? It's like you're telling me that I'm saying exactly what you probably would have said to me. It's like,
yeah,
I came up with this pretty much independently.
No, but that's, as I said, I went. I know you haven't seen much of my channel yet, but I was a witness.
No, the only thing I've really seen is what Brooke introduced me to, the NotJah Witness grades Dr. Guyman thing.
Yeah. And
that's really the only true exposure I've had to your channel.
Fair call. That doesn't give you much of my background too, so because really, as most of that's written by XC Lover 666. But I grew up as a pretty damn hardcore witness, working towards baptism until the age of 12, when, from a combination of reasons, I basically gave the middle finger to organised religion, including the witnesses, and I didn't lose my faith in God. And my
bull says they gotta run.
Oh, Clade. Okay, mate. Well, you have a good night, man.
See ya.
Hope you enjoy yourself. I think the fireworks have started too, actually. I don't know, maybe not yet, but I thought I heard a couple of bangs.
Boom.
Yeah, shit, now I've lost it. Where was I? Fucking hell, I can lose it.
Talking about organized religion thingy?
Losing it, yes, of course. And, but from that age till literally February this year, I was independent theist. I would have, how did I describe myself? It's like I had a personal relationship with God. I believed in God, but I don't adhere to any religious organizations. I was basically an anti-theist theist, if that makes sense. I thought that organized religion and religion generally was a dangerous and harmful thing, and it was wrong, and it was basically taking advantage of a holy thing, but that I still believed in God, and at that point it was the God of the Bible, Christian God, if you'd call it that. Some people don't consider dubs Christians, but they fucking are. Yeah. I was heavy into science, always a nerd, and I knew my computer science back when I was young. I don't so much now, but I was really
I never bothered with computer science. Again, it's just
no, well, I don't know, maybe they call it a geek now, but I was called a nerd, even though nowadays a nerd is like a Marvel and DC comic book person and stuff, and that's not a nerd, to me anyway. But if geek works better, it was one of those people that would blow, like, the teachers away when I point out where they're wrong, and I would ace every class, and I would just be sitting in class doing nothing because I had nothing to do. That kind of nerd. At everything. The only thing I couldn't do really was sports. So religion was one of those things I had time for. I had a lot of time for. And I didn't think I had it wrong either. I had that combination of love for science and a love for a personal God, so to speak. So not religion, I misspoke there. That personal
NotJah?
God. Yes?
As a friend once told me, faith and reason are like shoes. You'll walk a lot further with both of them on.
Not necessarily. I get it, though. This is the thing. And you won't get that from many people on my, like, what they call my side. I still don't even feel comfortable with that, to be honest. I'm still in that place where I'm like, I don't want to be hated by all these people for no reason. And I don't see the need. And so I'm kind of in that place where I will refuse it. I refuse your hate. Not yours. You know what I mean? Like, there are too many ways that we can fall into argument, I suppose, on our sides, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I see it. I see it even on my side just as much as your side. And it's not your side, my side. Fucking this is like fucking rivalry. It's not that. But you understand what I'm saying, though. Hey.
Yeah, I understand.
It's good to be able to break that and not just go, I find, oh, we both like, video games, or we both like this. It's like, no. We can still find agreement on these topics that we can still find, like, a civility within these topics that we don't find agreement. Even if it is only by, 7 months. And this is what I find fascinating. What else, like the Exodus is one of those ones that it comes up a lot. So what do you believe about Moses and the Exodus from Egypt?
And the parting of the Red Sea?
Not even that. If you wanted to go there, of course, but even them being there as slaves and there at all, the evidence to that not being there at all. That part. Or had you not heard that part?
I hadn't heard that much, really.
That's okay. You can go. We can do the Red Sea, because that is actually something that fascinates me as well. Because I mean, it seems a bit simple though. I always just went. I mean, it's God's intervening. Would it not be? Or did you have? If you got a better one, bring it on.
Yeah.
I want to hear it.
God's sort of intervening. Yeah, that's actually how I would have put it.
Yeah.
And the way he does it just looks completely and totally badass.
Well, I mean,
With me, the way I always thought of it is, hey, God. The way I always thought of it is, God sees the Red Sea. Here, let me just help you. Raise his hand. Yahweh, chop, boom. Like, can you just imagine the mother of all karate chops just going across the entirety of the Red Sea?
And then up it goes. Fair call. Actually, that leads me into a question. It might be a silly question, I'll admit, but when the things like that happened, for example, in that example that you gave, one could take that literally as the image of God doing that karate chop. I know we're having fun with the setting here and stuff, but would you say that it was an image of God that came down and made that happen, or was it a complete, just an invisible force, like imagination aside? Just that, what would you believe?
I'm on the fence about that. For me, it would be like, if I had to say something, it would probably be like God saying, here, I'll project myself doing this. Or here, I'll show myself doing this sort of thing because A, I can do that. B, you guys need help. And C, it looks totally badass. Maybe you threw that in there for a little bit of added effect because, yeah, you got to admit, splitting the Red Sea does look totally badass.
Well, if God God goes on about being humble, you wouldn't think he'd be all in it for himself.
Yeah, valid point.
No, not a valid point, dude. Not a valid point. That was sarcastic. Sorry.
Again,
I didn't mean it. I thought that
God always had a kind of weird personality back in the Old Testament.
He was a bit of a vicious cunt. You got to admit that. I mean, even though I knew that, like, I would have said that he was quick with a sword. No.
I guess in that case he was getting kind of occasionally irritated with humanity.
Even you cannot deny this one, because he himself put in there that he hasn't got the best temper, basically. Like, he's a short fuse. You don't piss him off. He's a jealous god.
Yeah, I can kind of get that because I myself have a short fuse.
Ooh, dude, you should have met me when I was younger.
Autism, yeah. Asperger's syndrome, conduct disorder, ADHD. That is a whole hot mess of issues when combined together. Make me really go off when I get angry.
So do you also have a father like that and a little brother you have to look after while you suffer that?
No, I do not have to deal with that. I'm an only child.
Damn, man, I am jealous of you. I've luckily got an older brother, but he bailed really early. Look, I'm gonna have to go for a quick dunny run. Nature calls. If you didn't understand what a dunny is for you fucking Americans, not you, the others, because I knew you caught it before. So, Tornado, do us a favour, say hello to those in the chat. Make friends, everybody's. And I'll be back in a second.
So, grumpy old Dave. I like the fact that you asked me questions. That's pretty awesome. And I liked Mediocrity's Maze comment there. When someone comes up with, realizes, or discovers something independently, whether it's new or not, that's a product of critical thinking. I liked that. Thank you. And Brant, I feel you, buddy. Even if I don't have those latter two things, I feel you.
Are you letting there be dead air?
Sorry. I'm just looking at the comments.
No, that's all right, dude. It's all right. I just caught you in that moment. I'm like, I gotta say this.
I was basically zoning.
Yeah,
and tempered badger, explosives. Is that for fireworks type stuff? I'm looking at Badger in the live chat.
Yeah.
And when I say fireworks type stuff, I mean FPAG. Mostly I just consume mostly I just use consumer grade stuff. But even when I use consumer grade stuff, I'm in the serious standpoint because when I'm using consumer grade stuff, it's like, okay, I don't know what this will do. I want everyone to back away because unless I know exactly what this thing does, we could have a problem.
Yeah, no, exactly.
In fact, there was one time where the fuse on a firework didn't exactly burn all the way, and it was a long fuse, but it never really got to the firework.
Misfire.
But the moment I saw that, it's like, okay, everyone, back away. I'm going to whack this thing with a stick, and I'm going to get it off the Mediocrity's Maze. I actually hail from Missouri. Well, when I say hail from, I mean that's where I grew up with. That's where I grew up for much of my life. And Bad-Tempered Badger, I'm concerned about the safety of friends and family when I'm using fireworks. When I get into that position, it's like, okay, this can be used for fun, but I have to remember that these are serious things and they deserve respect.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're on.
Because
it's like a lot of those sort of jobs. When you're on the job, you can't be in play mode. You know.
Yeah. The thing is, sparklers, they burn hot. And you have to respect them. Respect fireworks.
Yeah.
Because the difference between there are no young stupid pyrotechnicians.
Oh, there are not actual pyrotechnicians. No, there are wannabe ones. Plenty of them. They're the unqualified.
There are wannabe pyrotechnicians.
Doesn't necessarily care for the qualification and yeah. Hey, oh god, I had a question. What was it? It was going back into the topic. Not Noah. Fucking the other guy. What's his name? Jonah.
Moses.
Yeah, close. Jonah. Yeah, I know. It was the other one with the water. Lots of water. Because he was in a whale or some shit, a big fish. So,
I think you...
You know, the one that was, like, golloped up by a fish for 8 days, 3 days, you know, and pooped out and was fine. Yeah, it was like a big fish, as the Bible says. But it wasn't a shark, because it would obviously be, I don't know, a whale shark, because it would have been big enough. Maybe a sperm whale, but then it's not a fish, but biblical speak, so who knows. What do you reckon? What is your opinion on that one? Because I'm curious. I'm sort of going through them because I'm like, I have had so many similar opinions now. I'm like, I want to know.
Well, assuming he could actually obtain the stuff that the fish used and ensure that he can use it in a way that benefits him but doesn't have to worry about the issues regarding everything. I mean, theoretically, it could be possible if he does it right.
Yeah,
but
he
would have to be
be swallowed by a giant, like, whale shark or whatever.
Yeah, he'd have to be extremely careful about how he did things.
But you realize, the process of digestion would start happening. Like, have you seen what happens to a human after they've been swallowed by a snake? Like, they haven't been fully digested, they've just been swallowed for like half the day. They get cut open because the snake's just stuck there and he can't move. Do you know what happened? The person doesn't come out of that alive, and they've been swallowed whole. Just been swallowed. No bitey.
Yeah, like I said. So if Jonah was in there, he'd have to have the protection of God or something.
He dead on. That's the only possible way you could really come to a realistic way of that happening. It's one of those ones that is why, of course, it is commonly brought up. And it's kind of why I bring it up, because these are the things that sort of made me go, well, you know, if one thing wasn't true before, fuck, you know, and it just suddenly, man, I mean, if you, that month when it hit me, I spent the fucking 4 months, I could not think straight. Literally, for days, even when I was working, just, I was trying not to think about anything, like, at all, and I couldn't. My brain wasn't functioning properly because my whole world had just suddenly snapped. And it was an amazingly weird fucking experience. But it's fascinating to me that ever since that moment, I had not found somebody with anything close to my beliefs. Like, not even close. They were all generic. They're very, very generic. You know what I mean? With their religiosity, if you will have it.
Generic?
So, yeah, like they were just one denomination or the other. They had no individual thought. You know what I mean? Like, there was no, this doesn't actually make complete sense. How would this be possible? Let's think this through. You know, like, and even if we have to come to accept that this was only by God's power, so be it. But we've thought it through. Most seem to just go, this is my belief because this is what I've been taught. And they have no thought process there. And that's honestly something that might come to a disadvantage to you if you want to stay a theist. Because it's very, very, very hard to stay a theist when you are intelligent. Because I literally had to avoid so much shit for so long. And it only took a couple videos that were directly on Jehovah's Witnesses against those beliefs that I still have. And it just, the first couple were fine. But some, I can't even remember exactly what it was, but it just took one thing that hit at something that I held so fundamental that I just went, that's not true. You know, it can't, it's not that it's because they say, it's because it can't be true. And then I'm like, fuck. And God, it's such a weird thing that now I'm here where, I mean, my mind has only recently been able to clear up enough for me to reminisce about what I was a year ago. If you know what I mean? Like, it's been that much of a fucking roller coaster that I've spent that long processing. And it's been fun. I've met some amazing people, and I've got this YouTube channel now, and all this stuff has happened and whatnot. But
and you totally kicked Dr. Guyman's ass to the curb.
Had to have a little bit of fun on the side, of course. I always do. But at the same time, it's like, goddamn, like you're a mirror image of who I was, and it's such a shock to see that I wasn't actually that fucked. Like, I wasn't in any way, like, because all of my comparisons lately, even with some other J-dubs, are, Jesus Christ, they're insane. Was I insane? You know, and so hearing this stuff from you makes me realize, no, I was trying really hard to think all this stuff through. I literally was doing everything in my power to process this stuff in my brain, and I kind of must have just always known that there was something not right. And it just took something personal. This is why I know this is not something I'm going to be trying to do, because it's not something I can do. It's not something I don't even really want to do, to be honest. I don't, you know, that's not my intention. But God, it's gonna, like, I can almost say that it's gonna happen at some point for you, and it'll be a fucking whirlwind. But I don't know, like, I'm still in that point where I'm questioning. And I think, like, I remember, who was it, Drew, or one of those boys, I don't know who it was, to be honest, one of them. They were, you know, still after years will get moments out of the blue where they go, wait a minute, what if I'm wrong? You know, and you know, naturally I've had them. and it'll hit you, and you just go, God damn, just what if? But then, I don't know, you with the resolution that you have in the same way you have for the rest of the science that you love, it's that same resolution that you go, no, but that's not actually the way things are. And what the way things are for you will always probably be different to me. So that might be whatever it might
True.
be. Yeah. But goddamn, I just can't contemplate. There's such a small difference since in my perception of everything else, but yet such a big difference there, just in that one thing. And yet all these people that have met me that are those very generic religious types that will not take the time to just talk even. I don't get it.
Yeah, right. And then you meet me out of the blue.
You. So that was a good rant, and most of that was my fault this time, at least. But fucking hell. Like,
yeah. You're so used to the other way of that Christians deal with you, and then you meet me out of the blue. It's like, what the heck is going on? For a second there, I could almost...
Yeah, it's good to have someone that'll actually talk, you know, without feeling defensive.
It's almost like you were being held up to a funhouse mirror, wasn't it?
Yes, actually, no, especially, yes. And I'm still probably going to continue that. I'm just trying to work out where to go next. So I don't want to go too obvious, like miracles and bullshit. That bothered me, because it's like, well, it's obviously just God. Like, you can't do that. You can't test half of these things like that with science. It doesn't work that way, basically. I mean, just to simplify it, I suppose. But what would be a miracle that you would consider not by the work of just God, like something you could consider being feasible without God's direct intervention? Is there any, or like, I know that's a tough question to just go, ooh, this one, you know, so it's not an easy one.
Honestly, being able to either go faster than light or at least reach a decent fraction of it.
Is this a biblical miracle, or is this just one of those? Is this just one of those things, possible things? Because I just don't recall that happening in the Bible. That's all.
It's one of the possible things.
Okay.
Basically, if we humans could, it's a miracle for the future, because if we humans can actually go at light speed, or at least a significant fraction of light speed, do you realize how many doors that would open?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is definitely going to venture into another conversation, but that would definitely open up an amazing amount of possibilities for our just space adventure. Like, that's the one thing holding us back in an infinite sense. So.
And not only that, but if you think about it, if we actually managed to break the universal speed limit, do you realize what that would do?
Well, our level of understanding would definitely increase. That is for sure.
It's like we would be breaking the universal speed limit. We'd be able to travel to anywhere. The light barrier so far is the one. As long as we don't get pulled over by
the universal cops, the Guardians of the Galaxy, because then we might be in a bit of trouble.
I get the joke.
Yeah,
I get the joke. I am Groot.
I am Groot. No, but no, it's a good point. That's fair enough. I definitely was trying to go more of biblical miracles, obviously. I know I'm slaughtering the same old thing, but it is a bit of a topic that, you know, we try and stick to. I'm trying to think of my own examples as well, so I'm not just asking you. It's just if you think of any, it'd be nice to have you throw them out there, if you know. But like, you got all the Jesus ones, and it just seems rather, you know, heal the lepers and the dying, raised from the dead and all that. It's like, yeah, pretty hard to fucking do most of that without God. Even himself being raised and all that bullshit. I meant that in my own lingual language and not in the strict sense of it being bullshit. Sorry. Don't want to give you the wrong impression.
Well, I guess there is one issue that might be of note, and
Go
it's
hard.
not so much a miracle in the good sense, actually. I'm referring to the 10 plagues, or at least to
Oh,
the 9
yeah.
plagues up to the Angel of Death.
Okay. Well, do go into it.
Well,
These would be
for
ones that
instance, you have the
wouldn't need.
waters turning to you have the waters turning like almost blood red.
Mhm.
And the thing about that is if the waters start turning blood red, that means there could be all sorts of nasty things in there which would cause animals to go on land, like frogs and such, to get out of the water. That way they're not injuring themselves. And with the frogs moving out of the water, that could also bring the flies and such. And with that naturally comes pestilence
Yes,
and
exactly.
boils
It's
and
sort of a combination
things of that
things.
nature.
Do you not think that is it possible then that that whole firstborn deaths and thing was a literal follow-on effect of the prominent Pharaoh's firstborn son dying, with a lot of other young, generally firstborn males, because they would have been the ones that they wouldn't have killed if it was a firstborn female, having died because they were out and about with the men in the areas of all this pestilence. You know, if you connect all these things, you're actually on a good point there, where all of those could potentially
Arise
be
from possible volcanic eruptions and such.
all just
Like,
natural events. Yeah.
I mean, think about it. You have like, if you think about it from some points, you can actually almost argue volcanic eruption, because in some situations you can actually have sort of reddish water, possibly from sulfur content.
Okay. So would this then be a thing you would take to believing, or would you still accept that God had the input there?
Well, you
Or would
can.
it, because it could
I'd
be
say
a
you could go
story
either
that
way on
was,
that.
yeah, I was just thinking, because it could be a story that was written into it, almost accidentally being assumed that it was God because of all these other events, if they had known God. But then you would question, why was it then in there if this was written by, like, if they were in that contact still with God even. They talk later. So it's like, wouldn't he be like, hey, get that story out, that wasn't
It
me,
could be
you know?
either or in this case. Like,
Yeah.
it could be either or.
But
And yeah,
you couldn't, if you, the only thing holding me back then to if I was a believer to the possibility that it wasn't, is that then it would discredit God in a way.
it's true.
And so
I
you'd
mean, yeah, I
have
guess there
to,
would have to be some issue regarding God telling the people, "Hey, here you, we have." I mean, God would have a part to play. Of course, he would have to. I mean, telling the people, "Hey, put this on your door." Just in general, don't go outside during this whole event.
and that could also be, though, the general wise men going and acknowledging the fact that there is disease and pestilence about, and going, for your own safety,
And
stay
mind you,
inside. If you're sick, kick them out.
if
You know, there are
you're
these
also dealing
combinations.
with another
Yes.
event, the hail of burning ice.
Oh
Now
yeah,
that one could be.
yeah. That still goes
Now
back to your
that one,
volcano, though, couldn't it? It might not necessarily be ice; it's just burning. So, or is it literally
I mean, I can
ice?
see the hail of burning ice from a certain standpoint. That would definitely be one of God's works. Like, hey, just so you know, if you're not getting the message already, here's some burning ice.
Well, I mean,
And basically, Moses telling the Pharaoh,
super cold ice is gonna burn when you touch it. It could be burning ice, as in the feeling of the sensation of it burning when it hit, like when you touch it. Not that, is that, because I'm taking you by the words you're using. I don't mean to. It's just I don't.
or
I
you
don't
could
recall.
actually think of a different different mixture of both water, ice, and flammable chemicals.
You could do that, but you know, I'm definitely obviously trying to postulate a more naturalistic approach, because it would be more rare, would you not think, for something to be the ice literally on fire, basically burning hot,
True.
whereas a burning cold piece of hail wouldn't be so rare.
Yeah, and then, like you said, you could also argue that the volcanic eruption would be what people are perceiving as burning ice.
That's a possibility too. And it would then, with your suggesting the volcano before, it was like, wow, that would kind of make sense. Could even be after effects, you know, like hail after the volcano. I don't know exactly my, what is it, weather, meteorology. I've been saying it before and I could not remember the word.
I mean, definitely the whole several days of darkness.
Cloud.
You
dust.
could almost see that as... Yeah, you know that whole ninth plague, the multiple days of darkness?
Yeah, exactly. It's like the big dust of cloud after, you know, the residue laying down through the atmosphere. It's an interesting point, but again, it goes back to the fact that if you decide to even postulate that, you're immediately discrediting it being the work of God. And so it's one of those standpoints for me that sort of goes, you know, it'd be one or the other, wouldn't it? You know, you can't have it both ways. I mean, you can have it that you can have it that he initiated, but that goes back to the original one that we had, you know, where he kicks in the big bang. Yeah.
There's no real volcanic activity. There's no real actual volcanic spots where the whole Exodus would have started. So there's the thing. For God, it would be basically God saying, "Hey, listen, if you don't let Moses' people go, this is going to happen." And then basically, okay, you are obviously not listening. Let me send you a message. And then that whole thing happens.
The other, I mean, you could, of course, go further into this and question the validity through, what do you call it? Archaeological evidence.
I mean, that's just one possible explanation.
No, of course, exactly.
I mean, the other possible explanation is God doing the whole thing.
But it doesn't give you much to work with. Then that's the problem. Even, you know, believer or non-believer, it just means that you don't have much to learn from out of that. You know.
Yeah, true.
That's where I always found.
And Brand
the issue.
actually brings up a good point.
What did Brand? I wasn't paying attention.
Squeeze an ice cube with salt in your hand. It's fun. Instant frostbite.
Yeah, that's it.
That's actually a really solid point there.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. Fucking cold ice burns, man. Okie dokie. So, Revelations then.
Here's something. Exists something called methane clathrate, also called burning ice.
Nice. Yeah, I'd had heard of that. But as I thought, I didn't expect that to be as popular. I mean, as popular as likely. That was the word I was looking for. I'm goods with the Englishes. Yeah, Revelations. What actually even is your what were you taught about like your beliefs in Revelations? The faith, yeah.
The one thing I know really solidly is the whole rapture dealio, that God will take up the children in the twinkling of an eye, and I've also heard other things. And I've also heard other things such as the eagle, the lion, and the bear going at it. I mean, I can get some parts of that. Like, think about how America, China, and Russia are already having strained relations with us. And then you have the big orange pundit in the Oval Office.
Mm-hmm.
That whole thing.
But
that's leading to a whole pretty mess in and of itself. I mean, you could think of it as God literally taking up his children in the twinkling of an eye, or God saying, "Hey, just so you know, there's something big about to happen, and you all are about to enter the kingdom of heaven. Just probably not in the way you probably wanted it to. So don't worry, it'll be over quick."
I come from a denomination, as I know you don't know that much about the Dubs, but that is very hardcore and serious about what you're kind of talking about. That the UN.
And when I say that, I mean the twinkling of an eye, meaning, you know, big white flashes on the horizon. The sort of thing that you hear about in the games like Fallout or movies like The Day After and Threads.
Yeah, I know. You can go and say atom bomb or whatever. Fucking nukes. It's not that big of a deal. It's pretty, as I said, well understood for these sorts of fundamental belief systems about revelations. For ours is the UN's I think it's the Beast or something. There's all sorts of weird fucking interlocking things that they've connected.
Yeah, I never understood that whole dealio with the Beast and all that stuff. All I know is the Antichrist issue. The whole rapture issue.
The J-Dubs will go into all sorts of crazy details and I mean I literally couldn't wrap it all off to you, but like the shit I had to learn about revelations, and rapture wasn't really a word that was common, so even if it was used at some point in the literature, it wasn't used generally in talk with the witnesses. So whenever I'd hear people talk about the rapture, I was like, what the fuck is the rapture? You know, and then they just talk about revelations, and it was just this one specific moment of, what is it, the children being taken away or something like that, like, alright, you know, or it's the movie moment where people are, the shoes and clothes are left kind of deal, you know, and they've just been up into the sky. Okay, so what else is there? There's not really that, I mean, because the Dubs had so much in Revelation that I'm probably not really keen on just sitting here trying to remember all that sort of shit especially if your main knowledge is just that of the rapture, it wouldn't really do much. So,
yeah, I mean, I've heard about the whole trumpets and things and all of that nature, but I don't really know about that.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I mean, look,
it's like, what is with all these blah?
Yeah, it's too much.
It's like information overload.
And it's very convoluted, so it's easy just to be like, God damn it, what the fuck, you know? Like,
it's like you're looking through there, and it's like, I don't know.
Okay, okay, well, a bit of a random then. So what would you think, if you have one, is your favorite book of the Bible, and why? Or part of the Bible, even.
Well, this is really just more of the disaster movie loving side of me talking, and it was really featured in Moses, the Prince of Egypt sort of thing, and the Mummy. The whole burning ice falling from the heavens in Armageddon-style meteor shower sort of thing. It's like I was actually planning on doing a sort of thing called a sort of short story, or rather essay called "What Would Happen If the 10 Plagues Occurred in Modern Times?"
Basically, I literally just a week
how
or so,
would humanity cope?
Yeah, no, I literally postulated that idea not long ago about the whole thing was that if the 10 plagues happen nowadays, America probably wouldn't even fucking notice. Like, seriously.
What do you mean by that?
If the 10 plagues happened, America, for the most part, I mean, like as a generalization, would not change. Like, it would just continue. It wouldn't do a fucking thing. It would just be another day in America. It's just everybody in America, like if it was just all of America or all of the world. But they would just continue. Like, it wouldn't really affect anybody. The world would keep rolling. Nobody would give two shits, or the norm wouldn't change in any way. People would get about their day. Honestly. Even the whole nighttime for ages. They'd think it's weird, but they'd still go to work. You know? Their kid, all the firstborns die. They'd mourn. They'd have a week of mourning. And then they'd go back to work. You know what I mean? Like, they would not, you would not stop. I don't think most of our westernized nations, at least, would stop. We would just continue. We wouldn't care. Let alone acknowledge their having anything to do with a god.
Yeah, that's like... Locusts would destroy our crops, though. A very valid point.
Yep, and we would figure some shit out. We'd have backups somewhere. Or
Yeah, but
something.
then again, think about what we're already doing.
We're a very innovative bunch.
Yeah. It's like, the thing about humans is, I think that might be how God ended up getting attached to us in the first place. It's like, hey, let me just check up on this third rock from this. Oh, hey, they're already inventing stone tools. Oh, hey, did they already invent fire? And they haven't even been around for 10,000 years. Ooh, this I gotta see.
That didn't even, the 10 plagues didn't even really do shit to Egypt. Because, yeah.
Unless you count the burning ice one.
No.
I mean, I could understand the burning ice one. If you see fire raining from the skies, I could...
did not end. It didn't even really get hampered, even historically, by that event. Whether you take it as real by God or not, or anything really, even by biblical standards, that event did not affect Egypt as a nation in any way, let alone the entirety of, you know, any of their population. So if it was worldwide, it wouldn't have a shit of an effect. The only thing that really happened that made the effect was the firstborn of the Pharaoh died, and Moses was like, it was God's going to do this, and then it happened. So he's like, let the people go, and even then he went and changed his mind, hardened the heart, but whatever. Either way, after the fact, after God won, and after they got out, those actual plagues weren't there to destroy the nation. So the nation continued perfectly fine afterwards, basically, which America, if it was, or the world even, Western, other nations would probably just be devastated, but as the Western world, we would just make money off of that. You know what I mean? That we would literally
and
turn
here's
a profit.
The thing. Think about the current state of YouTube right now. What's currently trending? Various challenges. So people would be going out with, if it was the 7th plague of burning ice, people would literally be going out, strapping themselves in armor and holding giant freaking nets.
No, armor? What are you talking about? They'd just be walking out there naked. Like, let's be real. Rednecks ain't going to put armor on. I mean, they might put a bike helmet on. You know what I mean? Like, and still be naked.
It's
or their
we
tidy
live
whities.
In it'd probably end up on top 20 most shocking dumb dudes, number 7.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it'll be there.
It's like,
here's
this jackass who literally goes walking out in the 10 biblical plagues, no less, with the fucking net, saying, here, I'll capture this burning ice and then sell it on Amazon. Which I'm probably sure would either make God go, huh? Or, hey, that's my 7th plague. Stop selling it on eBay.
Actually, this comes to an interesting question. What do you think would it take for God to intervene in our presence and like actually make himself known by intervening because of what we're doing, what would you think it would take?
If we're about to really fucking destroy ourselves, I mean, think about it. Have you noticed how many close calls we had during the Cold War?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe God saw that the human race was literally tipping on the very edge and said, here, let me just give this man a lick of sense. And intervening in small, minute ways so that the world could avoid destruction for at least another day.
But this would be in an indirect form, not in a sense like he was talking to Moses or he was talking, that sort of thing. It'd be indirect, hey? I mean, I'm assuming that position, asking the question. I'm assuming your position, but only asking the question. If that in those cases, if that was God doing that, it would just be those indirect, like, subtle nudges from the background kind of stuff, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like how the Doctor does things in Doctor Who. He's like helping fix the timeline and all that. There's an episode in Doctor Who called The Angels Take Manhattan, and the Doctor happens to help out during that whole situation too. Much of humanity doesn't even notice that the Weeping Angels are there at that point in time, but the Doctor, he ends up solving it in the background. Basically, he's always helping humanity out. And I know God, and I think God probably would intervene if it came down to it and humanity was on the precipice of literally turning itself into ash.
Is this a thing that now this is not an argumentative point, it's a curious point. Is this something that gives comfort?
Yeah.
Personally, like, so how do I preface that a little better, because I think that was too broad. Does it give the security of, like, of yourself, like, that you'll be okay, so that you have that personal protection because you have that personal relationship?
I guess in a way, yeah. It feels nice to know that someone's actually out there looking out for me, even if it is just from the background.
Have you ever questioned why it would be you to deserve that with that belief? Because this was something I grappled with. Being that I think of people who weren't afforded my opportunity, not even just of the privilege of then, of course, knowing God, Jesus, having the truth, having that knowledge that I'd be okay. Is it fair that I don't have to suffer like others suffer? I am still alive while children have been dying every day. Where's their God?
What I'm thinking in this manner is that when I say I am referring to basically the human race as a whole.
That is, okay. And I mean, that is actually what I was trying to get the specificity there between whether it was your individual protection or as a whole, of course. I didn't.
As a whole,
I should have.
God's looking out for all of us.
Of course,
even if some of us do indeed act a little stupid.
I think I'd assumed already, and I think it's because it's a widely held thing within most, at least Christian beliefs, that God is there for everybody, best interests, and he's with everyone, sort of thing. So that I don't think was within my. I wasn't doubting that belief, and so I was definitely querying more about whether you feel that as a personal protection, or that that you're still at the whim of just what happens. Like whatever. You might go tomorrow. It might be our day. You know what I mean? Like, or is it that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know
I know
it's a
I might go
hard thing
tomorrow.
to ask properly, but there are so many
Something
people who
could happen that
do.
ends my life tomorrow. For all I know, it could be that I get hit by a car, something happens
But then
that
is
I
it
just wasn't
something
expecting.
that from there you will still be okay, or because isn't that the point? Isn't that the comfort? That that moment is okay to come tomorrow because you know you'll be okay. Isn't that the comfort part? Not that death won't happen.
I think I think a little bit of that, and knowing that, or rather feeling that, if it comes down to humanity getting close to destroying itself, God will intervene. I guess that's where I'm coming from.
That's cool. And I know when it comes to the finale, like this, is why I didn't get too much into Revelations, because the JWs are very different to most Christians with their end of world thing, or Revelation thing, apocalypse thing. So it's like not ever like I don't know because you said you didn't know too much about or really anything about the dubs. So basically, you know how most Christianity, when you die, if you're a good Christian, you go to heaven. Is that something that you held or hold?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's cool. That's most Christians are like that. This is just one of those ones where the dubs are different. Because ours is that, well, ours as if I'm one, but you pretty much anybody and everybody, unless you go and
And if you
basically
if
go
you
against,
accept Christ, your Lord and Savior, and all that.
not completely. This is a broader sense. If you want to be a dub and be, you know, the first through the gate kind of thing, sure, but that God has a forgiveness for everybody unless you go against His will directly, which is kind of hard for most humans. So that everybody will have that moment of death. Death just you're dead until He brings everybody back, basically. Starts resurrecting. There's nothing between those moments. You're dead and you're back. You know what I mean? In this presence of God going, hey, I exist now, you actually know, and I'm definitely paraphrasing, shortening everything, making it real simple. This is your second chance. Do you want to have another go? In perfection, all that kind of garbage. And it's a paradise on earth. So it's not in heaven. There's only like a set number that go to heaven, and they're already on their way, basically, because Jesus has already come, as opposed to we're still waiting for Him. So there's all these little differences. That's why I know it's like the point here isn't to get into those differences, but I thought maybe if I just give you a quick layout, you at least know where I'm coming from and why.
Yeah, no, and basically the way I've accepted it is if you've lived your life good and you've accepted Jesus Christ into your heart as His Lord and Savior and accept that He's died for your sins, that's a surefire ticket to get into heaven, as far as I know.
So, okay, what? Obviously, you've had to have heard the name Richard Carrier thrown around. Have you heard any of his arguments in any detail?
No, can't say that I have.
Okay. I haven't enough to be able to even really tell you what his arguments are, because I haven't read his books.
I don't even know that dude. I don't even know who the hell Richard Carrier is.
Oh, I do apologise. I just thought that he's often in the same circles. And have you heard the name?
Maybe a little bit. I'm not sure. I've maybe heard it in passing, but I've never really cared enough to say, "Oh, I know that guy," because
fair enough.
I know absolutely nothing about him.
He's somebody that's just recently, as in as recent as February to me, since this whole thing for me has happened. Come across my radar within our community because he's a historian or some shit, and he's put out a few books or a book or something, a few pretty indisputable arguments according to what people say, on Jesus not being an actual person. And this is a lot of people have become very prominent using this as a basis as their mysticism against why Jesus isn't a real person. And I don't know enough about his specific arguments, and obviously you don't either, so it's not fair to rightfully go into either. I was literally wanting to know if you had heard of him, if you had any thoughts on his arguments, but being that you obviously don't, that's not really going to go anywhere. I would definitely think maybe check him out though, because he's at least a really interesting person, very, very smart guy.
Cool.
Alright, yeah, and hey Nadine, I did see you there. I sort of whispered a hi, but I don't know if it really came through.
Hey yo, TornadoPelt the Changeling here.
Yay. I don't know, Nadine's all over the place. I don't know if you've seen Nadine, but she's everywhere. Adam. Okay, well, we've probably been at this for fucking hours now. It's getting a little bit late on my end, so...
Actually. We've been at this for about 2 hours.
Oh, that is a bit longer than... yeah, that's a good size. That's a good size. But to be honest, I actually want to have you back on. We might have to finish it up, because we are getting on there. But I would definitely love to have you back. And even just try and continue this.
This has been a really strange talk for you guys, isn't it?
It's not so much that it's strange, it's just uncanny how similar, because that's not just the fact that, you know, you could be a J-dub with the exact same J-dub beliefs as me, and I'd be like, yeah, great, but what about these things? And they go, oh, no, you know, there's no individual thought. That's all it is. Just the fact that you have a bit of your own self in your beliefs. You've put effort into trying to work out what you want. Like, well, not what you want, what you believe, sorry. You know, you're not just taking it all at face value. And that's important. I personally believe it might be your downfall of being a believer in God, but that is only purely because it was my experience. So I am biased in that perception, and I don't really care either way. And I really want you to know that that's not I leave that to other people. You know what I mean? I've really enjoyed the conversation more than anything else.
Cool.
That's something I didn't expect. I didn't expect to just I don't know, because I didn't even we weren't planning this or anything. Like, so I knew nothing really about you that much. And so yeah, it's not often that you come across somebody you can find so much in common with, even though we are obviously very different now. You know, it's like it's not even looking back, because I don't want to make you think that I'm ahead of you or anything. It's just that time span, you know, like, of going, there's so much there that's different, but god damn it, we were like exactly the same. But hey, I'm sure if we work hard enough, we'll find some differences in our beliefs from my then and you now, so it'll happen. Maybe next time though. True. We tried 2 hours and we still didn't manage to get into an argument. Like, come on, we're not going to get any views that way.
I try to be respectful, okay?
No, actually, it's too good, man. Like, this is the sort of thing I do enjoy. It's been a learning experience for me, and I like taking away these things. So, and I don't know, like, you learnt a little bit about the dubs, I suppose. You know a little bit more about me. That's all. You know, that's all I can really offer. To me, the Jehovah's
Witnesses are still very much a do what now? It's like, I'd heard of the Jehovah's Witnesses, like, occasionally they'd come to the door. It's like, so you're Jehovah's Witnesses, and what exactly do you... Okay, that's cool and all. Yeah. Cool, nice meeting you.
Yeah. I wish
It was a weird sort of. It was one of those meetings where it's like, what?
It's very forgettable. And if you can get away
Yeah.
with it being forgettable, because sometimes they can be aggravating. But at the same time, it's a bit like that on the other side as well. Because I've been there. I mean, we could probably have a great talk about me being a dub and, you know, the insane things that I had to go through. That might be something fun. Anyway, I am going to wrap it up though. Do you have any random person that you wanted to shout out, or if not, just yourself? You're more than welcome to do a shout out.
Follow RJ Downer. He's a nice dude, and he's absolutely amazing. I still haven't purchased his book because I really want to. Darn it!
He's hella smart, that guy.
Tune in for movie night tonight at 10 Tune in for movie night tonight at 10 p.m. because Strike's holding it as a 22-hour shift, and it's happening at 10 p.m. Eastern time tonight. So 9 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Mountain, and 7 p.m. Pacific.
Did you work that out in my time, or? Because I'm like sitting there going, okay, which one do I calculate from? Oh God, I have no idea. Oh, I don't know. I was just going to add like 14 hours, and what would that be?
So which time zone are you in?
10, 12. It should be roughly after I wake up in the morning. So hopefully I'll catch it.
Sydney, right? Which city do
yeah,
you live in?
It's close enough, Brisbane, but yeah, plus 10 on GMT. Not really in Brisbane, but it's bloody the time zone. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna start shutting it down so that we can do these details after the thing. Thanks everybody for coming to the show. I really appreciate it. Oh, Terry, good to see you, mate. Yeah, you missed the whole thing. Sorry, brother. Hey, man, it'll be good to go back and check out, I hope, because this has been a really interesting conversation. Tornado here, you've been absolutely fucking awesome. I've had a lot of fun.
Thank you.
I hope to see everyone else in the chat again. I know I'll see everyone in the chat again. You're crazy bastards. You're always here. Oh, Heat Shield, I didn't see you drop by. Good to see you, buddy. So anyway,
hey, Heat Shield.
all the awesome people. Y'all have a great one. Brent, have a great one because you've been around for fucking almost since the start. Who was around right at the start? I can't remember who it was.
Hans and I think
Hans, that's right, it was Hans. Yeah, it was you too. I thought, yeah. And then Young Blue, but I don't know where Young Blue disappeared to. Maybe they're still there. I love you guys. You're all awesome. Thanks for dropping in. You all have a wonderful, wonderful night or day or wherever the fuck you are. And I'll catch you later.